focusing more on watching replays and kind of learning. I've been trying to play just like a 3-base style where I get up to like a good 2-2 time and attack if all goes well.
Okay, so you're basically trying to hit like a 2-base max out. I mean, 2-2 max out. Excuse me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Sounds very a good start for sure. All right.
I want to keep it simple for me.
You have a replay of that, Giga? You should post that in chat or send it to me. Because I do want to start casting games off stream and posting those separately to YouTube. I got Opium to send me some of his dumpster fire games earlier. So, all right. So is this the matchup you want to focus on today? TVP?
Yeah, probably TVP. TVP and TVT gives me troubles, but I think I need to. I maybe have like some build order issues with TVT. I do have a game that I played recently. If you want to,
okay,
maybe have time to take a look at it. But
yeah. TVP tends to be everyone's struggle at the moment, though, including my own. I immediately get demoralized when I see Protoss is on the other side. Doesn't matter anymore. I also saying vice versa when I'm playing Toss and I see Terran, I'm like, nice.
Oh, it feels good.
Fresh meat. Like my zealots are gonna. I like your spray, your Bob Toss spray.
I've been trying to get my spray meta a little bit better.
Okay, so instead of Marine first, I'd rather see you go Reactor first. I think.
Just Reactor first.
Yeah,
okay.
If you're gonna SCV scout, I think Reactor first is better. You'll have four Marines out by the time the first Adept gets there, anyways. So, whereas if he sends his Adept across immediately, you're gonna have 3 at most, and even then, like it's a little more safe in my opinion.
Okay.
You have a draw once a week? What the? Okay. I've had 2 draws in my entire StarCraft career, so that's something. That's something for sure. Okay. So what's the goal from here? Like right now, what's gonna happen is at this point in the game, you're gonna start not floating the amount of money, but you're gonna like. Here's the time where we're gonna start either needing to see like. I'm assuming a Raven is what I'm gonna guess comes out of the starport.
Yeah.
And then a second barracks hopefully is in our future at some point. You missed.
Yeah, I build a CC first, and maybe that's a mistake.
No, the third CC is fine. But you just have to understand that you're gonna have to play very defensive. And for the net, like you're not gonna be able to put on really any pressure until like the 7-8 minute mark by doing third CC. So as long as you're okay, you're comfortable doing that, which a lot of people aren't, then okay. And the reason I say a lot of people aren't is because no one likes to give Protoss that much freedom. But
yeah, it might make it harder for myself, especially because I'm not. Maybe I should probably have more pressure on because this game I took some bad engagement.
Okay, well so far you've missed about 3 SCV cycles at this point. So like 5 minutes is usually when you're about to be hitting the 40 SCV mark. Like you should be getting your 39th and 40th SCV. So considering you're at 35, you're just like at some point, and I've watched it. It's usually your natural CC, and you're only missing like half cycles, but you're missing it almost every single one.
Okay.
You have 1 producing right now, and then it's stopped completely at this moment. It's like the moment you start thinking about other things, you're completely like you skip the SCVs, which and it's not that it's not that you're forgetting too long. It's just that it's consistently 4 or 5 seconds every cycle, which ends up making you miss like 2 to 3 to 4 cycles in a short amount of time. They basically they add up is what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah.
So like if you're thinking about making extra production or getting ready for the next stage of the game, produce SCVs first. Same thing with like if you think about taking another command center, like make sure you're producing off of all your buildings and things like that. Also, you're rallying down your natural. You look at your main base, you have 7 workers mining minerals.
Oh yeah.
So And I know you have a lot of things SCVs building, but it would even be better to take the extra SCVs you have mining down here and bring them back up there.
Bring them back up. Usually I have the opposite problem. This game I got a little confused. Usually I have too many on my main, and my natural is too little.
Of course, you know, usually you know, what's it called? Orbital first. I don't mind you lifting it over before the orbital, but it's kind of ballsy, actually. I would think.
Yeah, it's a little risky. Yeah.
But with the Raven
Especially
and the double tank,
across the map right now.
you should be okay. Now we're gonna need to see some 1-1, some combat shields, and some concussive shells soon.
Yeah, I'm a little late on my upgrades.
Now, and also the first priority when you move over a new base would be to take all the extra SCVs, like the 8 on your natural, move those over. You want to be trying to mine as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, I don't think I moved those over for a long time. So I'm still making a lot of macro slips. But...
Yeah, just a couple things that would, like, for example, right? Generally at this just time frame, even with a 3cc build, you should be nearing, like, you should be at like 105, 106 supply right now. Like, so it's just like, it's not that you're that far behind, but it's just, you see how the tiny things are just slowly adding up even without like much going on. So it's just like little things that require a bunch of due diligence during the game to make sure you keep on top of macro and what have you. But your supply itself is actually looking decent, like pretty okay. You're only like 10 behind what you should be at, and looking good. The big focus I want to see for the next like minute of this game is hopefully SCV production. The whole point of getting your early third is that you're going to be even, if not ahead of them on workers. Now, I would say, and you might be like, well, I am even with them, but this Protoss player also sucks at making workers too.
Right.
So, like, he's producing 1 probe out of when he has 3 Nexus that all have chrono available and et cetera, et cetera. Like, he could be, at this point in the game, he could be 80 probes in a 4th base if he wanted. If his, you know, that's what his heart desired, but that's risky. Risky business right there.
If I taken a different path, I could have easily just been shot down.
But, no, it's just it's kind of like triggering me that the Raven is 2 feet away from this observer. Is not seeing.
Yeah, it's a standoff.
That observer's living on the edge dangerously. So you pass them up in workers, which is good, but generally speaking, on 3 bases, you want to end at 67 to 70 SCVs. That way, if you're going at 3 base all in, you can stay at a couple less, but at least 66 at the very least. Okay. So just like hover over your supply at like the 8-minute mark, and if you're not there, like you might be like, well, you know, I'm making the last 2 for to be a 16 on here, but you look at your main base, you're missing 5 on there. Like, it's important to try to like remember that. Even though you're taking new bases, you can't neglect the old ones and the mining from the original ones too, because those are still very important to your economy. Now, you're way out mining this guy right now. But remember, the goal is like when you start playing actually decent Protoss players, what's going to start happening. The goal isn't to beat Mr. Bestone over here. The goal is to be able to beat like people like Maples and that. So
yeah, no, exactly. I played someone who was like, I'm like 3,600, I was there 3,900, and they just kind of like had another base than me and like more army supply, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely missing on my macro.
Now, the higher level you get as Terran, you will start to realize that you are going to just, if you play like solid macro like this, you're going to generally have to be on the defensive because you're just going to kind of be behind. But the more solid your macro is, the better you're going to be in every matchup, as well as it's unlikely that they're gonna not make mistakes, so it's very doable for sure.
I think I have an anti-timing that's gonna happen in this game too.
Well, even right now, like your thought process is really contradicting to itself, right? You decide you start 2-2 and then wait 20 seconds and then decide to move out. Whereas if you would have moved out and then started 2-2 immediately, that to me is a 1-1 timing. Your 1-1 just finished, it's time to go. But it's like you instead waited like 40 seconds past that power spike to then decide to move out. So this is like a complete contradiction in thought process over here.
Yeah. My idea is I want to hit with 2-2. I think, yeah, my timing is not right. And I think I just overextended here. Like I didn't want to like fully commit like I did, but I ended up doing that. I mean, my plan wasn't to, I guess, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh, this was pretty bad.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
So yeah. First things first. Once you see this army, like as soon as you scan it, it's too close already. So you need to immediately siege all your tanks. Like you're already in range of the Nexus, like pretty far in range. And also, you want to try to take fights positionally that are the best they can be for you. So like this tank, if it were to siege at the edge of these rocks, and all these tanks behind this big rock, it gives them less surface area to be attacked from, and it's harder for the Protoss to engage. While you can still run your bio around the top side and still come down and attack the base, or even just still just chilling here. But at this exact moment, your tanks are pretty out and exposed.
Yeah.
And your Raven should have already kind of either used auto turrets or used its what is that thing called? Dorito cannon. Anti-armor missile. Anti-armor missile needs to be the first thing that goes on, or you know, interference matrix or something. Like I would have liked to see you interference matrix, maybe both on an immortal. It starts like take these out of the fight, and kind of let the tanks do their job. The tanks murdered the Templar, so had you just kind of waited with your bio a little bit, I think you know you wouldn't have eaten so many storms like this.
Yeah, I saw the Templar moving down the ramp. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go for him, but I was clumped up, and that was really stupid.
See, like the anti-armor missile was an afterthought, right? Like it would have really
hurt him.
Yeah. And again, that was one of those moments where you kind of gotta either accept the loss and look back home, and or do the 5-second rule, because like you look at your money now, you just started producing into your barracks. Like you have plenty of mule energy that you're not dropping. No 4th command center started. No ghost upgrades. Like so now, not only was this fight bad, but the situation went from bad to worse now that you don't have any of the necessary next tools. That makes sense. Like the next step in your progression isn't on the way out either. The only progressionary like upgrades you have coming at the moment are 2-2, which you would have had anyways, and you could have made a push with regardless, right?
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about the bad positioning, it made me like I knew I was in a bad position, so I felt like I had to micro that because I was gonna get stomped. But
that's the micro necessarily is fine, but it's like it's still got to make the correct decisions when even like doing the micro, right? Like you have to like you were prioritizing the bio when the bio wasn't the priority. The priority was the Ravens and the tanks. Bio is like the third option, the third thing you do in that set of micro right there. The first is what I'm trying to say, and the first thing you did was stem the bio and look at it. Yeah, you make the first thing I would have done. Let's just say I was taking that fight. I would have Dorito dusted his army. I would have grabbed my tanks and shift clicked the stalkers, or I would have done the Templar and then the stalkers down. That way the tanks are doing the most damage they possibly can. Because the moment tanks are attacking zealots, they're also friendly firing your own units. So, and then at that point, I would stem my bio and try to take out the zealots as much as I can and hope to like micro from that point on. But so the third thing would be microing the bio, and at that point, then I would focus on seeing how much damage I could do with them. So yeah, you had the right idea. It was just in the wrong order, as in like, you know, you went bio first, and then your tanks died, and then you were like, oh, Raven, Dorito dust. So this is good by him doing this little.
Yeah, that really killed me because I wasn't.
I don't even mind the fact that you're counterattacking, but fresh fucking meme. I don't mind the counterattack, but you do have to realize that well, I wouldn't even say like a Colossus is not even what I expected, and I can see the production tech. I would have expected like Templar with energy here because that was his original form of AoE. So, and it seems like you were kind of getting ready with the Ghost, but I do like your counterattack here. I think it's good. Wow. Thank you for the sub, Stretch. Appreciate that, dude. So the moment he's in shield battery range, back off because he has super battery range as well. Get a quick breakfast from the fam. See you on a bit. See you in a bit of espionage. So yeah, the battery is what kind of kills you here, and you're again, it's just priority difference, right? Like the Colossus is the only thing out of this whole army that's in range of the battery. So the moment you start trying to target the Colossus like this, think about it this way, right? The Colossus is meant to counter the Marines, and the Stalkers, as dumb as this sounds, are meant to counter the Marauders. They both counter each other. Stalkers do more damage to armored, Marauders do more damage to armored. So the moment you are trying to kill the Colossus with the Marauders, the Stalkers suddenly go from being mediocre to actually being very good, because not only are they good walls, but they're actually doing decent damage to the Marauders too at the same time. So it's like him doing this little micro, again, it's just difference in priority, right? It's like the fights are you have so many medevacs here, you could just sit here and tank this Colossus damage against this Marauder and it would be just fine. Like you could just sit there and take that damage and it'd be okay. Now, what was a small, super tiny campfire at home has now turned into a forest fire, and Smokey the Bear is not happy. This it's turned into a little bit of a disaster over here. So this is the thing about priorities, right? This entire game is focused on decisions. What decision do you have to make? So if you notice he's focusing on the main fight here, that probably indicates that you should be focusing at home. Because where are you going to gain the most value? You're going to gain the most value when you're fighting where he's not looking, right? And what I mean by that is if he's looking at this fight, like he's microing his Colossus right now and doing things like that, he's prioritizing defending at home over his attack. And you're prioritizing attacking over defending at home. So his attack at your base, while even though it's not being microed, tends to do a lot more damage that way. It's all about priorities. It's like, how do you put out all these fires at once? You decide which fire is the biggest and start with that one. And the biggest fire, like as soon as you killed the fourth base, I would have liked to see you go home.
Go home. Okay. I felt like I was like all in even when I like pushed out because the Zealots were in there, and I was, I know I wasn't quite all in, but
it's just your army supply. You have a really good army supply. So it's like you kill this fourth, you leave right now.
And just
leave
go,
if you. So how many Zealots does he have? He has 17 Zealots. If you kill all 17 of these Zealots, that's 34 of his army supply gone. He'd be down to, like, what is that, 44? At the moment, he has one Colossus, no Storm, and his army consists of Stalkers. Now, tell me in what world has a Stalker ever been good against Marauders? Like, if I saw this many Stalkers and you have more Marauders than Marines, this is a field day for you, any day of the week. So, you're a Terran.
Is when you're like target firing the Colossus and walking through.
Exactly. The only time that they become good again is right here.
Okay, I didn't actually know that, so that's pretty good to know about fighting that army. And
so it's like, jumping on the Colossus is the correct thing to do when you think you're gonna get it. So you have to decide, like, can I get this or not? And if not, then try to out DPS the army. There's a bunch of a bunch of options to consider, but trying to focus fire like that is usually what either makes or breaks fights. And that is true as well in chat, as Terran is very good at holding on / coming back. Like, mules are very good comeback potential.
Okay.
I need to update the sub count again.
Okay, I think this game is a game. It's TVT, and I'm kind of wondering what your thoughts are for TVT in terms of build orders, I normally like to play like a Marine tank and then Viking, but I often find, and I don't know if this is the game actually, but like I don't transition well into like having more tanks and Vikings, and like I have lots of Marines, and then it's doesn't.
So
I feel like I have to go
having
try to kill them.
having more Marines can be a blessing and a curse. It just means you have to be really diligent about your army movement, if that makes any sense. Like, so put it this way: if he has like a significant tank lead or a significant air lead on you, he's gonna win a straight up fight. But your goal the entire time past that point to never take a straight up fight. And what I mean by that is the moment you see him unsieged or he's moving out and he's not sieged, like you run in, target fire 2 tanks, back off. Like you just try to pick off where you can, try to be places. Like it's really hard to take straight up fights with just more Marines until you get to a super overwhelming number. Marines are very momentum based, and I think you've realized this in the. Or you can do as chat says to the corner. QQ and re-Q. But chat is never wrong.
So wise.
Right? What this lowercase L guy does to you. What? What? You
Yeah, this is weird.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
It's you went Rax for he went command center before Reaper. I love it. I love it. This fucking guy supply blocked, by the way. He gonna phase it. He didn't. He went to finish the depot. Okay.
I thought he was cheesing me actually. Once he had the supply depot up there, that's why I went built on the high ground. But yeah.
So I would have thought he was cheesing you too, but you also I want to say scouted. Yeah, you scouted the natural, and you also only scouted 1 gas. So the only thing this could be is a second Rax, like right here. That's the only thing possibly be.
Okay, so I shouldn't really be worried about too much because my opening counters are 2 racks. But
yeah, well you gotta stop giving him respect. He didn't. He did nothing to deserve your respect.
Yeah.
Yet you gave it to him anyways. So as soon as you get that now, like, so if you wanted to chase that Reaper, I don't mind, but I would have rather you like sent 1 unit after it and sent others across because your window to do damage is now, it's not gone, but it's closing. Also, that bunker shouldn't scare you. The moment you see it's a Marauder, you can just run past that. Also, okay. I don't mind the Reapers going in here either.
Yeah, I know. It's
okay. As long as you're macroing a little bit, I don't care that much.
I think that's one of my problems. I violated the 5-second rule here.
I know, you're still spending.
Okay.
The only thing you missed was you started your +1 faster, but who cares? That's nitpicking in the grand scheme of things. You're on 3 bases, you have more workers. The only thing you're missing right now is stem started. Like as soon as that Raven's done, I'd like to see you lift this barracks over. Like I'd rather see you lift the first barracks over and start stem than to and then rebuild a new barracks on the reactor or something like that. Just because it's better to have your upgrades more. That way your +1 armor will be finishing the same time as your combat shields, and wow, suddenly you have a power spike where you have 1/1 and combat shields. Those are the things we strive for. He should have left that there. He would have got some.
Yeah, this.
Where's your Raven? Oh, he's just. Yep.
Yeah, the Raven's not doing much here. I just chased it around with Marines ineffectively. He denies mining time.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, as long as you're like the only problem is you just like well, you're supply blocked at the moment. Nice.
Oh, I think I'm really badly supply blocked this game. I think that.
Yeah.
I might.
Oh, look at the production tab difference right now. Like this is how important supply blocks are.
Yeah. Oh my God, that looks so bad. Okay.
I say this as an esteemed diamond 90% Marines are real good in TV. That's what I mean by it, being diligent with watching your arm, because you're not going to win straight fights. I win a lot of my TVTs by being controlling the tempo of the game as well. Now, I want to point out one very important thing. You know what his army lacks significantly? Any sort of anti-air. So the moment you see this at your doorstep, I would love to see just an immediate Liberator out of your starport. Like, that would be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
His army has no anti-air at all. What the fuck is this?
He's a Marauder tank.
But yeah, the moment you see this, and it's Marauders, one Marine, aha. Like, okay. Also, you have a full energy Raven at your disposal, too.
Yeah.
Nice, he donated all of his units to you, Fog. And again. Then after all of that, look at the supplies. Like, how much did it really do for him?
Yeah, I still lose this game. I forget how now, but...
Well, yeah, your army supply is massive. What I'm assuming is you keep continuing to macro and you wait too long and give up your advantage. That's my guess.
Okay, I think you might be right.
Also, there's no reason to fight. Like, there's no reason to engage this.
Yeah, I think
you were 11 energy away from a disable. You could have come from multiple angles. Like, the only way that this gets value is by engaging into clumped up into 2 tanks.
Yes.
Like, you just don't want, you want to give him, like, you know, you ever heard the phrase, like, give them nothing, like, let them leave with nothing. Yeah, same thing. You know, the guy did absolutely, like, he didn't do anything with this push besides killing a couple tanks, but he also lost a few tanks and medevacs, and, like, so it was like, you just kind of gave him a consolation prize right there, letting your Marine, like, be all super clumped up. In. This guy's not having a good day, is he? Is this drop, and immediately, not even 2 seconds later, your Marine's like, "Hey, what you got in there, huh?" Like, I'm hoping you saw this, correct?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you did see it.
I think I moved some Vikings over.
You saw it, but not really. I think you saw it and weren't sure what it was. Damn.
Yeah, I don't think I saw. Yeah, I think I saw something on my map. Yeah, I lost more than I needed to on that one.
So he realizes how far behind he is, by the way. That's why he's playing like this.
Okay. Yeah, he starts just kind of...
He's YOLOing.
Apart, I think. Yeah.
He's trying to... He's really trying to see where get damage done because he knows he needs... Now, I don't like this all army back in here. This is like if you would have just left those 2 tank siege at your third, this would be... Yeah. None of this would ever happen. Also, another thing... Stop building Marauders in TVT. Unless you're playing against mech, it's just not good. Like, they just don't have the same DPS output the Marines have, so...
Okay.
It's just, generally speaking, not a great unit to build. Yeah, you're kind of being, You had all the defenses in place, and then you took all your own pieces off the chessboard and wondered why he was, like, able to move so freely. I want you to be mod, Cooney. So yeah, you are up 3 upgrades on this man with a massive army supply lead too. Like he literally can't do anything against your army, which is why he's like, oh, run away, do this, leave, you know, like and also you see these boosting back, don't follow with your army, specifically select like your Vikings and move them to the natural. And keep moving across with your army. Like you're just wasting too much time again. Still a good fight for you. I like that you took the initiative there.
Well, this time I really wanted to kill him.
Finally, you know.
Yeah,
it should have been that way for like, the unsiege.
Oh yeah. Sad.
Okay. Problem is you're not managing the fire at home. Yeah, he's got 57 workers now.
Game too. Which is similar.
Yeah, you're not taking priorities on which fights are important. In this game, he he wasn't even doing a great job at trying to tear you apart. You just still kind of let him. And you still have a massive army lead here. If you were dropping mules, like if you had landed your third and were dropping mules, I would still think you're going to win this game. But the fact that you're mining 400 minerals a minute to 2,000 is the reason, like, you have better. He just got +2, but you still 2-2 to this. So you're still doing better. It's just, you need to ride this momentum, which is what you're trying to do. But, this push should have been 2.5 minutes ago when your 2-2 finished. Not, like, you shouldn't have let him bully you like this.
Okay.
Because he really is not that scary when you actually attack him, is he?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And then I knew I'd lost a lot of workers, and I kind of was like, I was in a position where I was like, I don't really know. I think I have to just, like, try to kill him now or I'm going to lose. But you're right. If I would have just landed my third and landed mules, I probably wasn't in as bad a spot.
No, you're in a terrible spot. You were correct in that assessment. The problem being is that you have an army lead, and you, for at least not forever, but for an extended amount of time with mules dropping and things like that, you would be able to maintain that army lead. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I could have just kept on doing this push.
You could have been with the well, like, it's gonna eventually lack. It's gonna become lackluster. You have, like, for example, you have 1,000 gas. If you were to take all your SCVs off gas, put them on minerals, you have the 3 in your main, the 5 in your natural, and you have 6 SCVs, 7 SCVs just chilling right here. That's an equivalent of what? 15 SCVs more that can be on minerals, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 mules, which is 4 mules, so that's 20. So you would have been mining. You could have had 35 more SCVs worth, equivalent of SCVs mining minerals for you right now, allowing you to produce. How many barracks do you have? 5. So what is that? 9 Marines at a time. Yeah, you would have been able to produce for at least another 2 to 3 minutes straight. 9 Marine, like, it wouldn't just be 3 Marines or 4 Marines trickling across at a time. It'd be your whole full production force for at least the next minute to 2 minutes while you're taking this fight. You killed the tank. You're doing amazing still. But the problem is, like, look at the production tab. 3 Marines to 9 every time. So it's like, eventually it's gonna peter out. And again, this is just super. There you go. You're finally doing this. Landing your third. He's landing his mules now too.
The macro truth.
Still win. He's still managing to take really bad fights. The upgrades are really helping you in your favor. It's just like, imagine.
Yeah,
There you go. You're dropping your mules. Like, you're doing what you needed to be. Like, look at the mineral income now. It's even, right? This is what I was talking about. That, like,
if I just would have done that
for at least 90 seconds. Like, that's how long these mules last. For at least 90 seconds, you would have had even income with him while you had a double his army supply lead, which means that. But now the army supplies are even, and he feels confident enough to even start 3-2. Like, so now you're like, he just put you on a clock, is what he just did by starting these upgrades. You have the next 3 minutes to kill him or so. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. Now you can't play a macro game from this. 5 command centers to 3. 32 SCVs to 55. Like, you had a solid 3 minutes to win, but it was just different. Again, it's all about priorities. We're focusing on the priorities and making. Your army supply is actually still even because this guy decided that 3 factories and 2 more starports plus upgrades was the way to go after he, like, this one, you see what I mean in priorities? Like, he did all this damage to you and he's still not competent enough of a player to realize how much damage he did to you and that he doesn't need to be doing all of this. And if he just fucking make Marine, he would be able to crush you within the next minute and a half. Like, so once we get you to that point to where it's like you're realizing how much damage you've taken, how much damage you're doing, things like that, like, it's actually just becoming second nature to you, then people like him are just going to roll over and die every time. You're still fighting extremely well. I'd love to see you go into his main right there. Like, lift up 3 medevacs into the main. He doom drops to you. I love it. this an all army back? It is.
How do I train my brain to like do better with these things? Because in the heat of the game, it's really hard to like step back and be like, I need to land my third CC, and like take care of this stuff.
Yeah, but at some point, so there comes a point in every game where it stops being muscle memory, and you actually have to make a decision on what to do. And those usually little moments of clarity are when you need to start making yourself decide where you're at in the game. Like, as in, like, they need to be your points of contention for what the next plan is. Like, you need to be able to, at some point switch it from panic mode to now what is my win condition from this point. You know, like how do I turn this game into a win for me? And during that process in which you're deciding how you're going to make that happen, you usually decide how well they're macroing / playing in the game, right? So it's like, okay, he's probably got this, this, and this. Is there any chance I could win? And if so, how? And then after you find out the how, you figure out the why, like, or the what it's going to take to get you to that win condition type thing. Because you should realize, if you see this fourth, that at this point in the game, he's probably got another base too. And like for this might sound really weird, but you can't afford to slow push this.
Right. If I would have been able to base trade, because he's going to be killing all my production.
Yeah. Well, of course, this is if you could spend your money right now, this would be a lot more even too. But it was he kept all of his tanks at home, which is the only smart decision he's made this entire game, by the way, was keeping these, just leaving these at home.
I know, he played like, he's so weird, and he beat
me. This all started to snowball at the place of the third. If you just left your 2 tanks there, but instead, like, you went to go for a push, and then all armied when you saw his drop, and that, like, opened the door. It opened the floodgates, you know? It's the same thing as, like, you leave the depot down and all the links again, and it's like, well, fuck. This trickle just turned into a waterfall. Like, that's kind of what happened here, but the Terran version, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I guarantee you he doesn't play like this when he's not behind. But he was behind for a solid 5-6 minutes and looking for openings, and he would not have found them, you know? Like, your goal is to snuff that like little hope in his brain out. You want to make him be like, okay, I know you're looking for these openings, and I'm just going to shut it down at every corner. But that also takes recognizing how good of a position you're in too, you know? And it tends to be easier in mirror matchups, specifically because you are working with the exact same units your opponent is. So a good indicator of that, you have to find indicators in the game. Click on his units, you would have seen that it was 2-2 to 1-1 in your favor. That means you're probably ahead. Most of the time, 90% of the time, that means you're ahead, at least in some aspect. If your 2-2 was started like ahead of him and you're not just dead, some like massive 1-1 push, then yeah. So like you just gotta find your little indicators based on when they take bases, etc., etc.
That's one thing I don't actually do that I should. I don't really check their upgrades.
Well, he had some multi-prong. I don't know if the great's the correct word, but well, it was multi-prong nonetheless.
Okay, I've been trying to do this thing where sometimes I get salty. I've been trying to compliment my opponent.
Oh no, yeah, it's the best way to do it.
Before I GG.
It's definitely the best way to do that. It makes you quell the like the blamer you have in yourself, you know?
Yeah, no, it's I made him have good multi-prong by moving all my army into my main base.
The problem, I think, is that Blue didn't just play like Maru, and the fundamental issues of all players. That's the fundamental issue of all players under 7k MMR. Yeah, true. True. But, you know what? He's not Maru. He's better. You know, he's completely different. His own human being. Potential to be better than Maru, okay?
Oh.
All right. Ready for another one. Another one.
This one I call I died to tanks and Vikings for 20 minutes. I think this game, this is the Marine game, and I was trying to like find an opening, and I end up just like taking bad fight after bad fight. But yeah, let's try this one.
So the guy that just came in chat, the guy whose name is Patu, he actually. So, exact same boat at the.
Oh, okay. We should hit each other up in Discord.
All right, let's do this. TBT. See, I love when people are struggling. Like, it might sound really assholish, but I love when people come to me with like TV struggles and TVZ because I love those matchups. When they come to me with TVP, the first thing I think to myself is, well, fuck, I don't know. I suck at this matchup too. But when it's TVT, I'm like, this is my jam. I'm ready. This is my area of expertise.
I probably would have more TVP losses, but these last 2 days when I was laddering and I just didn't hit a lot of Protoss. So
Like a
you're welcome.
You're the unicorn, you know? You just don't see anybody else. I feel like Zergs are like unicorns these days. Never see them. They don't exist. Imagine
See, and that's probably my best matchup right now. Is my TVZ is a little bit better than my other ones.
You know, I play bio until I think the player's actually good, and then I play mech, and then I beat them anyways. That's how it's been going. Imagine if you were a player like Maru, but woke up one day and completely forgot how to play StarCraft 2 above mid-platinum level, then everything you knew erased, but you knew you used to be that good.
You wouldn't be Maru anymore. You'd be someone else.
That, but at the same time, I think it would also be like you would know that you as a person have the potential to get back there if that literally was you, right? So.
Yeah, that's true.
I just study your old games at that point and go from there, I guess. Have SOS in the room being like, try to remember, you used to beat my cannon rushes all the time. You scout double gas and you high ground CC?
Yeah, well, I was thinking when I see double gas that they're gonna do like some aggression, so that was my thought.
Here's the rule, okay?
Yeah,
if you have a ramp, no high ground CC. If you don't have a ramp, then I'm okay with high ground CC. The ramp gives you the defender's advantage, so you're always gonna win the first Reaper fight as long as you stay on that ramp every time. Which means that you don't have to again. This is what. Oh, thank you for the follow, Digitals. Welcome back. So, this CC is giving your opponent unearned respect. He did absolutely nothing to deserve this respect, but yet here you are giving it to him, right? Like, just because you specifically saw a second gas, you haven't even considered that he doesn't have the balls to do anything with that second gas. You're just assuming he will. You can't do that because it's very unlikely. Very unlikely. And you should also have be somewhat confident in your ability to hold it, right? Otherwise, if you weren't confident in your ability to hold it with what you're doing, then why are you doing that? That's my philosophy, at least.
That makes sense. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Like, for example, I unironically lost to a Diamond 2 yesterday who Ling flooded me in because I didn't think he had the balls to all in me, and he just did. And I was like, okay. All right, fair enough. Like, I just gave him no respect at all, which at some point you do at, like... But I'm bad about that. All right. He's going to go Cyclone first, which is an exact, like... It's because of builds like this, like, you're not sure what he's going to do with that double gas, which is another reason why, you shouldn't have taken this high ground CC, because you see, like, this is just wasted time. You know, you're like losing mule mining time plus energy gaining on that second orbital, etc., etc. It's not all that big of a deal, and I don't mind it quite that much. I would just like to see a little more confidence out of you in your play. You know, like your confidence shows in what the decisions you make in your play. Even this, like, you're sending this one Reaper out as if you're going to leave these home because you're scared something's going to hit you. Tells me you're paranoid.
Yeah, I think I play this game pretty paranoid in general.
I feel like I'm, like, doing some StarCraft profiling. Anyways, what?
My paranoia takes over, and then I make, I think, bad decisions.
You need to go into... I'm not going to say go into every game assuming you're better than your opponent, but... Play like you're going to win. Play like you want to win, at least. Because it's better to play with the goal of winning than to play with the goal of not dying / not losing.
Yeah.
Because playing to not lose does not guarantee a win. It's the same concept, and I didn't really learn this concept that well until I started playing FPS games because, and it's a phenomenon that I don't even know what I would call it. Maybe it's like a confidence complex or something like that. But it's like, for example, I'll try to relate this to StarCraft as best I can. If I'm opping and I'm playing CS:GO, right, and I'm really confident that I'm gonna hit my shot, and I'm really confident that day in what I'm doing, I'm probably gonna hit it. Like, just generally speaking, based on I've put about 2,000 hours in that game, so I feel like I have a good read on this. And it's the exact same way I feel if I'm just playing my game in StarCraft 2 and I'm doing my build and I'm confident in the build I picked and I'm confident in the matchup, I'm probably gonna win that game. Like, it's just there comes a point where very few people can stop you from doing what you want to do when you're confident in your own ability. Like, that's just kind of how it works. It's like you're willing your emotions into reality, you know? You're confident that you're going to win this game, so therefore, you know, like, the ladder point's already yours. Give them to me. Why are you in the game? Why are you even here? My 38 draws prove that playing to not lose does not result in a win. There you go. I mean, put it this way. Like, for example, you got a guy like Sarah, right? Sarah has a 96% ZVP win rate at the top pro level. But yet, when you ask him about the philosophy of that matchup, he says that he only plays for a draw because he feels like it's impossible to win that matchup. Now, that is just a skewed mindset, obviously, especially when you watch his results and he just crushes everybody. But the reason he crushes everybody is he truly believes that the matchup is unwinnable. He just believes he's better than everybody else that plays the game.
Yeah. I didn't know he said that. That's
no, I just thought it was ironic because he actually, like, proved it too. He had what's it called? He said that the matchup was unwinnable and he only plays for a draw, and then he had a 58-minute tie against Showtime the next match, like an hour later. And everyone, like, because, you know, everyone's like, that's bullshit. Your win rate's almost 100%. Like, you won 26 pro series of ZVP in a row. He's like, I know, but still don't think this matchup's winnable. And then, you know, Showtime comes up, 58-minute sky toss game. I think it was on a fucking Eternal Empire. And then it's a tie, and everyone in chat's just like, he was fucking right. The prophecy has come true. This is what he said.
He just wanted to prove himself right.
Probably. He probably even, like, had a winning
Yeah.
had a winning moment, was like, I'm not gonna take it. Fuck that.
The draw. Proved you guys wrong.
So, you remember did I ever go over the 3-minute rule with you?
The 5-minute rule is like where you play, like, you don't have any mess ups in your build for the
that's mastering the first 5 minutes. Yeah, but the 3-minute rule is usually you scout with your SCV or whatever at the 1-minute mark. Then again, at the 4-minute mark, 7-minute mark, and 10-minute mark. Every 3 minutes is usually a good indicator of what tech they're going to be going for. It's most effective against Zerg, but I feel like in this game it'd really help you out. You know, 6.5-minute mark, you're like, okay, let's get a scan, because I'm assuming that's when your next scan's going to be ready, 6.5 minutes, which it's going to be about right. Actually, you have 70. Wait, what? Hold on. You have actually 50 energy exactly already on this, so 6.5 minutes. Perfect timing. So you'll know that's when your third scan your 150 energy mark, I guess, is going to be right in your command center. If you were to scan his main base, you'd see what was going on, etc., etc. Like, anyone who plays like this guy, anyone ever, should lose. He deserves to lose this game. 5 fucking missile turrets? That's a command center's worth.
I definitely threw this game. I got into, like, a one-track mindset and just, like, ran into tanks a lot. But I really wanted to kill him on, like, my 3 bases.
But yeah, well, you took your 3 you took your 3 bases quite early. You're playing your game. Now the problem is, I'm assuming you're gonna start playing scared at some point. Like, right now you're playing fine. You stop playing scared the moment you got your natural established, and I would love to see that manifest into the rest of the game, but we'll see. I would have rather seen you play mech from here, actually, because you already have 2 factories. So
that's why I was bringing up, like, the build order thing, because sometimes I feel like I need more tanks.
So if you really feel like you're lacking the tank count, after your first 3 barracks, you can get the second factory, excuse me. But generally speaking, you get the second factory after you have 5 racks. So it's usually 5 racks, then your second factory, and then.
Do you think 2 factories, or should you do 2 starports? Sometimes I feel like I wish I had more anti-air and not as.
It all depends on how the game's going, but I usually play more
okay.
tanks. That's how I play.
5-2-1. 5-2-1 on 3 bases.
On 3, well, I usually go 6-2-1 actually.
Oh, 6-2-1?
6 to 7. It depends. If I'm all inning, I do 8 barracks on 3 bases, but I usually add on 3 production structures per base I get. So 4th base, I go up to like 8 or 9 racks, 3 factories, 1 starport, maybe 2 starports now. 5 bases, you know. If I'm playing against mech on 5 bases, I'm usually nearing my 20 to 25 racks marker, where I'm just building a massive
25 raxes
against mech. Yeah, because I'm willing to trade inefficiently, but I want to keep them off of 4th base. That's the plan. The plan is to severely outmine them, and I don't care. Like if I don't care if I'm trading poorly, as long as I'm keeping them off of 4th base.
See, if I had 25 raxes in this game, I think I would have beat him.
Damn, didn't even get the tank. Feels bad. It was 1 shot away. That was a complete loss. Feel bad, man. So imagine this push with that medevac, right? This would have been 85 supply, and you could have like. So the goal here is to not be scared of the tanks. Okay, there's a lot of tanks, like a fuck ton of them. 8 right now, but you have 8 as well, actually. But excuse me. Generally speaking, he has 5 of them, actually 6 of them at his 3rd base. Now, these 2 you will have to deal with, potentially. But, so your goal will be to kill these 2 at the natural, and then just keep moving left the whole time, where you get in a position in his natural where he can't have this anymore. This is what I mean by denying mining. You're going to trade poorly walking up this ramp, but once you get up the ramp, the trades will start to go in your favor. And you can even make this better. Like, you're going to disable this tank. I would rather you disable the 2 tanks you know you're not going to be able to kill. You need to disable the targets that are going to do the most damage to your army, if that makes any sense.
I think I'm too far ahead, too, because I'm going to disable him, like, not in good position.
Mm-hmm. You're definitely doing it too early. And you're already starting the flow before this even begins.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, this is the Raven being here gives him time to react, as well as so if you would have disabled these 2 tanks up top, then you stem in, kill these 2 at the natural, and then keep moving left, like more towards his refineries over here, you're going to get yourself in a good position, probably be able to kill that orbital command, and you'll be able to put your tanks in range of his ramp, aka cuts off his reinforcements from the rest of his army, right? So at that point, you can just macro back at home and keep building up a new army while he tries his best to dislodge this army. But instead, you know, like, yeah, it's kind of discombobulated. He got time to react, put his auto turrets down. His tanks didn't die. Like, definitely could have gone a little better.
Yeah.
Real TVT strats playing double starport, anticipating the attempt to mass battle cruisers. I love when people play mass BC against me because battle cruisers are not great, so. I would think you were playing mech right now if I didn't see you put down 3. Like, if I was him, you just have way too many tanks. Like look at this army. It's just tank Viking at the front right now. If he's focusing on air, one other thing you can do, might sound really, really weird, but start making Thors and stop making tanks. Thors and armor and not armor, damage upgrades, because Thors are beefy as fuck. Like, they have so much health and they are really good tank line busters.
Oh, speaking of, what upgrade should I prioritize out of my armory just for this matchup?
Well, it depends upon if you're going for air or ground, but ground damage, air damage. You'd never really want to get armor. No real point in getting armor. You only get armor for the meat of your unit. So like when you're playing pure mech, Hellions are the meat of your unit, so you want armor for the Hellions, right? Same thing for bio. The bio is the meat of your army. The tanks are the tech units. Also, if you notice that rocks are fucking you up this much, just break them. Kill them. So remember, the goal against mech is always to keep them off of 4th base. So you should be looking for force. Your whole goal should be sharking around back and forth to this base, to this base, to this base, to this base, to this, like back and forth, and just killing every single command center that tries to land. That should be the goal. He's already entrenched on 3. That's fine. Fuck it. He can have those 40,000 resources while you have the option to take all of these. If he wants to stay on 3 bases, cool. That's cool.
Lazy SCVs.
All right. So see, now it's a good indicator that that base is gonna go back up there because his tank's already there. So the next goal would be to of course kill these banshees. But the moment you do that, like you're also lacking medevacs. You haven't built a single medevac this game. Like at some point you just gotta give up Vikings and build medevac, like only medevacs, because the healing will be worth more than just the Vikings just dying to his anti-air. But like, look at how good of a position this cliff is against that base being trying to be taken. Like the next goal is to like move all your tanks up this ramp and get all on that cliff. So that way when he goes down to take it, like even moving his tanks, basically you're gonna try to catch him off guard. That's why the main point is to kill the banshees first. That way he doesn't see you doing this. Because one thing he's severely lacking is sensor towers, which most mech players build, but he's for some reason is not. And the moment you build this, you come back up here. Well, now you're going back home, but you could have postured, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Your 2-2 was super late as well. Upgrade advantages are really important in bio versus mech. But lucky for you, he hasn't even started 1-1, so you're going to start being able to trade extremely inefficiently, and that be okay. He is not even making a good army. He's making like 1 Banshee, 1 Viking, 3 tanks, high-sec auto tracking for missile like his army just has no synergy. Like, the Vikings are usually to maintain air control, but once you have air control, what the fuck is the point of making more Vikings? Like,
yeah, I think that's one thing I need to, because I kept building Vikings and I had no chance to win this.
It'd be better to have medevacs, right, to heal some of the damage that the tanks do. Now, I don't mind Vikings. Like, fights are really weird, but Vikings are amazing against mechanical units on the ground. So if you were consistently landing these and just using these as extra, like, fighting, I wouldn't actually mind it that much. They do 20 damage to mechanical units, so there you go. You got it. So stimming when you're fighting against tanks is very important because it closes the distance. It basically gives them less shots. Like, you didn't stim at all here. Like, I would have loved to see 1 stim. You kill the 3 tanks at the top, and then you move to the right. Okay, maybe not to the right. Never mind. That's a fuck ton of tanks. I did not see those. Yeah, this is just a bad angle. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I said you could trade inefficiently, but that was
Well, I don't have 25 barracks either.
That's true. You're building 7 Vikings at a time, and so is he, and he already has the Viking lead. So see, now if you were to ask me the question again at this moment, what air upgrades should you be prioritizing? It's air upgrades. Like, you just finished your +2 vehicle weapons, but like it's like you're kind of going bio, you're kind of going mech, and it's just losing to someone who's just going pure mech because his just kind of makes a little more sense, I guess. And also, you really don't want to build Marines versus mech ever. Like maybe 1 or 2 reactors at most, but it should be like a 1-to-4 ratio. 1 reactor to every 4 tech labs. Yeah, Marauders.
Okay. 1 reactor.
Now you're at even supply, but you, the problem is you're just not making the right still. You're just making units that he's already countering, so.
Yeah, I got into this like one-track thing, and that's what like I think in all three of these games, I really didn't step back and like really make any good critical decisions. I'm
Yeah,
really
you didn't think about
memory.
stuff before you were doing it. You were kind of doing it. So, a good finishing army would be like Marauder Thor here, instead of Marine Tank. What's up, Krista? Welcome to the stream. He's already preparing for that like super late game TVT too. You've been actually keeping your supply relatively high, but it's also like if you look at the units lost tab, it's 7k to 20k. Like you just this rate, you'll just lose in the war of attrition at this point. No matter, despite the fact you have 20 SCVs on him, right? Like it's just he will eventually trade too well, and he hasn't attacked once. You haven't even given him the chance to decide if he wants to attack. And putting the ball in your court is okay, but you really need to be poking for, like, open bases, right? Back to 200 again. Okay. There is one thing to say on that fight, which is that
it was shameful.
It wasn't. I like the decision. You didn't see these tanks, so that's why I'm gonna cut you some slack. But when you stem up here, you need to be trying to like as soon as the moment you see these tanks fire at you, you need to move up like towards the gas geysers with your Marines, which is why you stem in there first, so you have the chance to get away out of tank fire. Like,
okay.
So the first thing I would do the moment I see these tanks shooting, I would take my Vikings and try to go land them on those tanks, while because if the Vikings can at least kill those 4 tanks and then the Marines can kill these 3 tanks, well then you've dislodged a base and now you've created a chunk in the armor. At least you're somewhat trading at this point, right? But so yeah, but instead you kind of like clumped up, all walked one little section.
Yeah, they died fast.
This guy's playing 3-dimensional chess, and you're fighting the Revolutionary War. Where everybody just walks at each other with muskets.
You get in a straight line, well, a clump in this situation.
Yeah, you're walking at the bunker with just running at it, hoping to win.
There's only one honorable way to do it, Groovy.
You're the guy that goes and tells everyone's wife, you're like, he died honorably. I definitely didn't just suicide him into tanks that he had no chance of living. I swear.
I never think about the Marines' families, but you got me choking up a little bit.
The guy in my chats of continuing to throw Marines into tank lines is paining me. How many men have to lose their lives before you're satisfied? All right. Can we get it to a 3-to-1 ratio and units lost? We're working on it. We passed 2.
I think I do. I'm pretty sure. I'm confident in that.
No, well, this one good thing that's come out of this game is your macros. Stellar, by the way.
And that's what I was focusing on this game in my own defense. So I was like, I'm gonna 3-base push and macro and get 200, and so I kind of.
Because this is all just decisions and adapting to what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing what you normally do. And hoping it's gonna work. You know.
This guy in chat's gonna get real pissed here in a second, I think.
Yeah, because you somehow managed to build more Marines than you had in the last army, so that just means more, you know, equivocal death investigations that aren't gonna go well. I just imagine like a super like buff old like 50s white guy walking up to you like, "Did you order these men to go in here?" And you're gonna be like, "No," and he's gonna be like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Because there was 15 tanks up there, and I know you knew that." And for some reason, they walked in anyways. Have you ever read the book Ender's Game?
I have. Yeah.
Okay, so
I love that game.
yeah, I love that. I love the book and the movie too. So you remember at the last scenario when he doesn't know he's fighting the little like bug hive, right? And he's actually controlling the real like human armies, and he doesn't know it. He thinks he's in the simulation, right?
Yeah.
They talk about the probability of him winning that fight, and it was like 257,000 to 1, and he does that, you know. This is one of those 257,000 where they just fuck up and all the humans get murdered. This is what we're watching, an alternate reality of that outcome.
This is what happens most of the time. You know, they don't.
This would be like if Minsk had a brain. It's this other person, and you're Rim Janer. This is what would have actually happened to the rebels had like a real mind been controlling the Dominion. Hoorah! All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. You managed to get a sizable bank of like 8K. I'm ready for him.
I know, and instead of even throw down any production facilities, that was pretty stupid.
Battle cruisers, no.
I know.
All you see. Like 1 billion Vikings and Ravens, and the only legitimate counter to battle cruisers is Ravens, by the way. So the fact that he has 8 already, which means he can disable 16 battle cruisers, and I don't even think you're gonna get to that number in this game.
I'm trying to get to that 30K resource loss. Battle cruisers are a fast way. Yeah, that was. This is what I think.
He's
like,
preparing for
I'm
this.
not sitting back and like making this like smart moves. I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to do.
Here's the next phase.
Like...
So here's one option. Split the map in half. Like at some point when you get in one of these situations again, just split the map in half for yourself, right? You have one. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bases. 8 bases on your side and 8 bases on his side. Now, if you manage to take this base, right? That is now 9 bases for you and 7 bases for him, which means that you can trade up to 20,000 minerals and 9,000 gas more inefficiently than he can, and still come out on top. So you can.
That's how much is on a base.
Per bit, one base is 4,500 gas and 10,000 minerals. Yes, so 2 bases worth more, because it now becomes a 9 versus 7 base scenario instead of an 8 versus 8 base. Makes it very much in your favor. This is usually how Zergs win against mech players, by the way. That's why their games last so long, is because they focus on outmining them, which is what you've been doing. You've had 30 more workers, so this would have been an actual viable strategy for you had you been considering it this whole time. But I don't think it's crossed your mind yet. It's 44 turrets. Holy fuck.
Trying to lose more Marine lives right now.
Well, he's got a free base for you to take up here. Like, as long, like, for example, I don't care how bad the trade is to kill this planetary. You can afford to trade poorly at this point still. But as long as you're at least trading. So, here we go. Come on, stim in there. Yes. Yes. This is fine. I don't even mind this. You lost, like, what was that? Okay. Oh, so you just lost all your Vikings again, but your thought process is more Vikings? I would have at least liked to see libs or something, because at least libs can kill them while they're clumped up, right? It's okay. I understand you're just kind of trying to spend at this point. You spent all your bank. Now, here we go.
I built all those starports, but yeah, it's not helpful.
GG, well played. There you go. Well, now you know. Thor Marauder, and try to keep them off a base. Try to really keep them off 4 bases. Yeah. That's the goal. And if they get 4 bases, the next goal, keep them off 5. Like while you're expanding, though, that doesn't mean just sit on 3 yourself, you know. And it needs to be like you're just gaining more resources at a quicker rate than they are. That way, you will eventually just overtake them in production, money, units, everything, upgrades, all of it. Like it all just ends up falling into place. If that makes any sense. It's all momentum based. It'll start snowballing into your favor. Like I know I made a lot of jokes during this game, but it was because like all of the actual problems with this game happened within the first 8 minutes. You know, it's like after that. At that point, it was just like an accumulation of all of the couple wrong decisions.
I barely didn't get 30k more resources lost. It was like literally 200 away. Yeah, I think you've given me a lot of helpful things.
Keep talking now.
So I think one of the big things is like I need to like give myself some time during the game to like sit back and make a decision, because when I'm playing I feel like I'm never really doing that. I'm like just trying to, you know, build stuff, and I'm not like thinking about the game. I know it's a strategy game and I'm not really playing a strategy game. It feels like when I'm watching
you gotta try to focus strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Basically you have to find a way to turn the pan.
That is one thing I've been noticing, like when I like kind of sit back and like I do feel like have just like this baseline level of like panic, even when I'm just starting out and just building my first supply depot. So it's really irrational.
Yeah, of course
Some
it's
PTSD.
for like, oh, it's those self-worth points that are so valuable, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta try not to put quite as much value on MMR as you have been, and I think it'll start feeling.
Yeah, I know.
I have. Hold on. Oh, I found one. It's versus a player everybody knows and loves too. Oh, there you go.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, I know he'll probably be going mech.
Oh yeah, for sure. Trash talks me the entire game at shit rock. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Sometimes produces some great moments. A fun one. My most viewed video ever is my first time I ever played against him, actually. All right, dude. Any other questions you
have? If there's anything like just a couple things that you notice that like I should do as my primary focus, is there any like things to like sum up, you think?
First couple games, really try to focus on not missing those cycles in the beginning. Like even just those half cycles tend to add up a lot. As well as like try to take a step back at the mid game. Really try to analyze where your opponent's at and what your win condition is going to be. As also the last thing is really try to stay on top of your upgrades too. Like in the last 2 games, you waited like multiple minutes before you started 3.
Yeah, my upgrades were way late.
So it's just like you had a momentum. You had momentum in your building, and then it just like Every second you're forgetting to start those upgrades, you're losing time on a potential power spike you could hit, right?
When you're playing, like, when do you take those times to like kind of step back? Is there like part of your build, or is like you
It's
mentioned the
usually
three
after
arrows?
if it's usually after a fight either goes really well or really bad that I
Okay.
try to determine like where we're at now. Like, okay, that happened. What's where are we at? Where are we now at this point?
Okay.
That's kind of what I like to do, especially after a fight goes really bad. It's when I have those moments where I'm like, okay, fuck. Well, if I was ahead, now I'm not anymore, probably, and determine if I'm still ahead, and if I am, then what do I need to do? Things like that. What are my next moves gonna be? Am I still in the reins, taking control of the game? Do I need to be defensive? Am I on the back foot? All those things. Like all those decisions are made after fights usually, or based on scouting.
Okay. Cool, Groovy. Well, thanks so much, man. It was a
Yeah, of
lot of
course.
fun.
I think this is actually one of the most insightful ones I've done so far. I felt like I was giving a lot of good info. Usually, sometimes I feel like the things I say don't come across very well. So definitely a good one. I had a lot of fun with it.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I had fun too. And I hopefully the chat wasn't too pained with all the Marines that lost their lives.
It's okay, dude. No worries. Yeah, look forward to doing this again. If you have any questions, I'll send them through Discord or have you.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good, Groovy.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you
All
later.
right. Thanks, man.
Confirmed chat dead. Chat is confirmed dead. It's okay though. That's usually why I don't stream coaching sessions, because they're good to stream because